Good morning. It's Thursday, February 20. So great to see you today, and welcome. Welcome to the Full Court Press, coming to you live on Free Speech TV and on our video stream, TawkrTV. That's a special YouTube channel, youtube.com/Tawker, TAWKR-TV. Big day here in our nation's capital. That's where you'll find us, right here on Capitol Hill. We'll tell you what's going on this morning. You tell us what it all means to you. And on this Thursday, emails have tripped up yet another Republican governor who had his heart and his eyes set on running for president in 2016. First, of course, it was Chris Christie up in New Jersey with Bridgegate. He is still trying to fight his way out of that mess. And now in Wisconsin, it is Scott Walker. With the release of 25,000 emails yesterday, he's in hot water because those emails show that his former staff, when he was county executive in Milwaukee County, was colluding with his campaign staff to try to get him elected governor of Wisconsin. That was against the law, but like Chris Christie, Scott Walker insists he knew nothing about what was going on. Oh, sure, we're supposed to believe that. In Texas, meanwhile, Republican candidate Greg Abbott, he says he's got no problem with Ted Nugent's support. He still thinks Ted Nugent is a great American, even though Nugent has called President Obama a communist-raised, communist-nurtured, subhuman mongrel. Why isn't the Secret Service knocking on that guy's door? And over in Sochi, very exciting, the U.S. men's hockey team beating the Czech Republic yesterday, trouncing them 5-1 when Russia lost 3-1 to Finland. We could be playing Canada for the gold, oh boy. Lots to talk about. Stay tuned here to The Bill Press Show.
This is The Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork, loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
This is the Bill Press Show.
There's a big winner from California in the Powerball. No, it's not me. Damn it. Hey, good morning, everybody. Oh, what do you say? Great to see you this morning. It is Thursday, February 20. Here we go. Another round of the Bill Press Show. So good to be with you today on your local progressive talk radio station. So good to be with you on Free Speech TV. And so good to see you on our video stream at TawkrTV. Hello, 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 and welcome to the program. And get ready to sound off on the issues of the day. You know how to do it. Give us a call at 866-55-PRESS or send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show or on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. And I guess today the big news is you can send us your comments on Facebook and on WhatsApp all at the same time, huh? Because Facebook is buying everything that's out there. They just bought WhatsApp yesterday for $16 billion, I think it was, something like that.
$16 billion.
Anyhow, so our vast Facebook empire just keeps expanding and expanding and expanding. Good to see you and good to see the team back in this morning. It's not snowing and not raining in Washington today, Mike.
Wow, what are we to do with ourselves?
What do we do with no weather?
It's supposed to be nice out.
Peter Ogburn and Lisa Murphy. Hello, guys.
Yes. Morning.
There she is, Alicia Cruz on the phones and cameras on.
They're on.
For now.
Looking around. Yeah, here we go. Yes,
he's here.
Cyprian Balding must be here. Then lights and cameras are on. Our videographer, President Obama. Yesterday, he was down in Mexico. It was a little touchy there because he was meeting with the Canadian Prime Minister, and we know what Americans are really, really thinking about is sushi and ice hockey. And after beating, just clobbering the Czech Republic yesterday 5-1, we are on our way to the playoffs, and we could be up against Canada. So there he is down there with Prime Minister Stephen Harper, and they're supposed to be making nice, but the president says, some of those warm feelings may disappear soon.
I think we are going to have both the men's hockey teams and the women's hockey teams battling it out. So for a very brief period of time, I may not feel as warm towards Canadians as I normally do, at least until those matches are over.
Yeah. That's exciting over there now, huh?
It is amazing how patriotic you turn when you're watching these things. I mean,
but
the USA-Russia hockey match last weekend.
Yeah.
It just immediately turns you into the most patriotic citizen ever.
But, what's interesting to me is, Russia loses yesterday, which was an embarrassing loss to Finland because this is their national sport. And the Olympics on their home turf, and more than anything, they wanted their men's hockey team to win ice hockey, the gold, which is not going to happen now, but can't happen now. But that their star player is our Washington Capitals star player. So I mean, it's like, what do you mean? He's our guy from Washington, but he's over there playing against us.
Anybody who's followed the Washington Capitals had a good feeling that Russia was not going to get a medal because they've seen Ovechkin play for long enough to know that he doesn't deliver. He doesn't get them to the playoffs. He doesn't, they fall apart when it really matters. And so,
So it's sort of like, okay, we loaned them our Ovechkin, right?
That's the one.
So that he can go back and be a star in his homeland, right?
That's right.
And then he'll come back and we'll pay him $1 billion to play for us again.
Is that weird how it works?
It is weird.
Yeah.
Anyhow, oh man. Well, stranger stuff than that is going on in Washington. Of course, we'll tell you some about it today. We've got lots going on. Dennis Van Roekel, president of the NEA, will be joining us a little bit later in this hour, actually. Daniel Stone, our good friend from National Geographic, will be along, as well as reporters from Huffington Post and The Nation. And to talk about global warming, the director of Public Citizens, the new trade deal, the global trade director of Public Citizen will be here as well. So we got lots of good stuff to dive into. We will do it very quickly, but first,
this is the Full Court Press.
Just a couple of other stories making news. A new study published in the journal Nature yesterday reveals that Yellowstone National Park is releasing helium gas. When you see these steam vents and things like that around and the geysers, what's happening is it's not so much steam that's coming up. A lot of that is actually helium. 60 tons of helium per year is escaping. This helium is approximately 2 billion years old, and it's escaping through the crusts in Yellowstone National Park. I find that fascinating.
Well,
it's not all steam.
Is that a problem?
No, it's not a problem. It's just people assume that a lot of this was steam escaping, and it turns out a lot of that is actually helium.
But I wonder if that's true about volcanoes, too.
I do not know about that. I don't know if that's the volcano situation.
Well, Dr. Ockburn.
I'm going to get on it right now, Mr. Press. I guarantee you.
Well, we'll ask Dan Stone when he comes in.
Yeah, he'll probably know. Yeah, ask somebody who knows.
He's our scientist.
Washington, D.C. hasn't had a chance to check out Google Fiber yet, and we will not have an opportunity as Google Fiber rolls out around the country. Yesterday, they announced 9 new metro areas for their super fast fiber connections. Portland, San Jose, Salt Lake City, Phoenix, San Antonio, Nashville, Atlanta, Charlotte, and Raleigh-Durham all announced as being cities that will be able to host Google Fiber later on this year. Washington, D.C., not one of them. So if you live in one of those 9 cities, you will have it soon.
Well, I'm surprised we're not one of them. Usually they try to do things in the nation's capital just to get some buzz.
Well, one of the things that they mentioned, because I thought the same thing, like New York City won't have it either, and neither will Los Angeles. But the reason is the infrastructure for cable stuff is so bad here that they can't even upgrade to Google Fiber, whereas these other cities have already
They're ready to go.
Yeah, so that's what's going on. And Mayor Bill de Blasio has upset some Upper East Siders. This time
again,
he has canceled a Central Park fundraiser and its accompanying fireworks show to usher in spring. It's known as Cocktails in the Park. It happens every year to benefit the Central Park Conservancy. He shut it down because he hasn't chosen a new parks commissioner yet. This is a big, big deal each year for Upper East Siders. Last year, 80 parties were hosted by residents around Central Park, and it all ends with a big fireworks display. The whole thing has been shut down.
It's kind of strange.
It is a little strange. He said he couldn't find somebody, so we're just going to cancel it.
Well, I wish the mayor
audacity
well,
of
but
note.
to me, it's still strange. I don't know why we might want to do that. I mean, those people who live around there love Central Park.
I'm sure.
I mean, they're in there, all the time, morning, noon, and night. They have all kinds of events around the park, and it is a phenomenal park. So I hope he makes up for that pretty soon here. But, I tell you where we want to start this morning is this is something that's just, it's been bothering me for so long, and you've heard me every now and then make a reference to it, but I just want to start off this morning and get your take on it too, which is all this talk about 2016. And I thought of it again yesterday because we had in studio Amy Parnes and John Allen, authors of this new book, HRC, which is a great new book about Hillary Clinton. Pardon me. And when it came out just last week, of course, that started a whole new round of speculation about whether or not Hillary's going to run in 2016. And, this has been going on for some time. There are startup PACs. She hasn't decided what she's going to do, but they told us flat out she's running.
Yeah.
And they've talked to her, and they've talked to a lot of people around her. They said flat out she's running. But absent her official declaration or absent her forming any kind of a campaign operation, she doesn't have to, because friends of hers have set up special PACs. They're raising money. They have people on the ground in the states. They are getting this whole campaign ready in 2016. And a lot of my friends, Democrats, are all excited about this, and they're putting all their time and their energy into this, getting, Hillary for 2016. A lot of people also are working on Elizabeth Warren for 2016. John Nichols from The Nation magazine, Madison, Wisconsin, but covers The Nation for here in Washington. He was in studio with us last week, and he was on his way to a meeting to talk with Senator Bernie Sanders about running in 2016. There's buzz about Bernie Sanders running. You know what? And I love them all, and I don't care who they are. Here is my message, and here is my plea. Forget about 2016 already. Hello? And I say that actually if you're a Republican or a Democrat, a liberal or a conservative, but certainly for Democrats, forget about 2016. Focus on 2014. Everything is on the table this year. This year, 2014, okay? Let's start with the House of Representatives. Democrats could get control of the House back, and boy, what a difference that would make in getting things done for President Obama and for the country. Democrats could get control of the House back with winning 17 seats. That's doable. I mean, the party out of power has won more than 17 seats many, many times over in midterm elections. But every single seat in the House is up in 2014. 435 of them. Those are important races. Every member of Congress up for re-election this year, Republican and Democrat. We ought to be focusing on those House seats. Focus on those House seats where President Obama won the district, but there happens to be some Republican in office. Those are pickup possibilities. That's the House. Look at the Senate. There are 36 Senate races up this year. 21 now held by a Democrat, 15 now held by a Republican. And the balance of the Senate, there are 53 Democrats, 45 Republicans, and 2 independents, Angus Maine and Bernie Sanders, both of whom vote with the Democrats. So that makes it kind of 55-45. Look at that. 4 or 5 votes could make the whole difference there in the Senate. Those are key races. We Democrats have to hold on to the Senate. We have to do it this year. And you've got important races like Mark Pryor down in Arkansas, Mary Landrieu in Louisiana. I mean, new senator out in Montana because Max Baucus is stepping down. Mark Begish up in Alaska. Very important, very, very important race. Just look at them out in Iowa. Tom Harkin stepping down. So Bruce Braley, our friend, has been in the studio with us, running out there. It goes on and on. Dick Durbin is up in Illinois. We've got a chance of picking up the Senate seat down in Kentucky because Mitch McConnell's in trouble. Even the Republicans down there don't like him. Chris Coons is running for re-election in Delaware. Very important to hold on to that. Mark Udall running for re-election in Colorado. These, go down the list. I can't mention them all, but these are very, very important races. So you got the House, you got the Senate, and then, and this is what gets everybody overlooks, and I keep coming back to it, governorships. There are 36 governors up for re-election this year. That's huge, right? Huge. And so you've got some states like California. Jerry Brown's running. He's going to get reelected, okay? But you've got other states where we could pick them up and make such a difference. Florida, there's Rick Scott, who's just a jerk, right? And Charlie Crist is running as a Democrat against Rick Scott. Florida, very, very important. Pennsylvania, important. Michigan, Maine. We had
Michael Michaud.
Michael Michaud. Blanco was the last name. Michael Michaud was in studio with us last week. Democratic candidate for governor up in Maine. Great guy.
And the current governor,
Paul LePage up there is
a mess.
He's a total mess, right? Very, very important race. So you go down the list, and those governors, and here's why the governors are so important, because the governors and the state legislature, by the way, state legislative races, of which there are hundreds, right, also extremely important, because they decide reapportionment. They will be the ones to draw the new lines for congressional districts and state legislative race districts, and those districts will determine whether or not we're going to end up with all these Tea Party people again in the United States House. So it's particularly governorships, Senate races, and House races that we ought to be focusing on 2014. And I tell everybody, I was at a dinner party last night. They were talking about 2016. I made the same point. Stop talking about 2016. Focus on 2014. Because if we don't, we're going to get to 2016, and our foundation is going to be eroded out from under us because we weren't paying attention. And a final point on this, before we get your calls at 866-55-PRESS. This is what happened back in 2010. This is what happened in the first 2 years after President Obama was elected. Already some Democrats were saying, oh, we're not as excited as we were in 2008. And, oh, we're already a little disappointed in President Obama. So we're not going to go out and work on the midterms. We're not going to get excited. We're not going to, support any of these candidates. And what happened? Republicans took control of the House, and they picked up, I don't know how many, but up to about 35 governorships around the state, right? And that's when reapportionment happened, and that's when these Tea Party people were able to get in, and look what they've been able to do, basically obstructing everything that President Obama wanted to do in the House for the last 4 years. So this is extremely important. 2014, focus. 2014, we've got to put all of our energy there in these important Senate races and governor's races, and then we can talk 2016. Don't you think? 866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine, Virginia Tech,
Tucson,
Aurora,
Fort Hood, Oak Creek,
Newtown.
Newtown,
Newtown.
Newtown.
How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
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 Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad. As a friend. As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 None of us would want to be told we can't marry the person we love. As Americans, we believe in freedom. That's what I fought for as a Marine, and that's what we believe in as Republicans. Freedom means freedom for everyone. I didn't used to understand the importance of same-sex marriage, but after learning my brother was gay, I wanted the same rights for him. He was the best man at my wedding, and I want to be the best man at his. It's only fair that Calvin should have the freedom to marry the person he loves, too.
It's time for marriage.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Here you go, 26 minutes after the hour. All this talk about 2016 and all the polls that we see on television and we hear reading the papers about 2016. Chris Christie versus Hillary Clinton, and Scott Walker versus I don't know, Elizabeth Warren, whatever. It's driving me crazy. We got to focus on 2014. And, by the way, I mentioned some of the important governor's races and some of the important Senate races. In addition to the Senate race down in Texas, there's a big governor's race in Texas. That's getting a lot of attention because, of course, Wendy Davis is going to be our Democratic nominee in Texas, State Senator Wendy Davis, running against the Attorney General, Greg Abbott. And Greg Abbott now is running around with Ted Nugent. We remember Ted Nugent. We remember Ted Nugent for comments like this one.
Because I tell you this right now, if Barack Obama becomes the president in November again, I will either be dead or in jail by this time next year.
Yeah.
Dang it.
Yeah. Didn't he also threaten to leave the country at one point?
Yeah. He was one of those classic, if Obama wins, I'll leave the country.
But the latest is, get this. I love to know what you say about this guy, 866-55-PRESS. Is Ted Nugent has said about President Obama, how did we ever let a Chicago communist, here's what he says, a Chicago communist-raised, communist-educated, communist-nurtured, subhuman mongrel weasel his way into the top office of authority in the United States of America. That is Ted Nugent calling the president a subhuman mongrel, and Greg Abbott is out there saying, Ted Nugent, he's a great American. I mean, freedom of speech is one thing, but this is obnoxious. What do you think? Should he get away with it? 866-55-PRESS will continue right here on the Bill Press Show. Your calls welcome.
This is the Bill Press Show.
So this is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. When I say done, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Thursday morning, February 20. Hello. Welcome to the program here at 33 minutes after the hour, coming to you live from our nation's capital. Brought to you today by the National Education Association. the good men and women of the NEA, Teachers of America, under President Dennis Van Roekel, creating great public schools for every student in America. You bet. For more information, you can visit their website at NEA.org, and President Dennis Van Roekel will be our guest in the next segment of the program this morning, so be sure to stay tuned for that. It's a big reading day coming up, and President Van Roekel is going to tell us all about it. Right now, we're talking about what really bugs me, which is so much attention in the media and in Democratic Party circles, fundraising and organizing and all of that around 2016, particularly the candidacy of Hillary Clinton. I'm a big Hillary fan, but I don't want to talk about it in 2014 because we have more important stuff to do right now, which is getting people involved, getting people out supporting Democratic candidates for the House, for the Senate, and for governor in some of these key red states so we can flip back to being blue states. So vitally important. 866-55-PRESS is our toll-free number. And out on the West Coast, Santa Rosa, California. Hey, Jackie, good morning.
Hi, Bill. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, good to hear from Santa Rosa. Favorite
I'm
looks.
A really big fan. Never called before, but just really love you, Bill.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah.
You're welcome. My question is, I'm just a little lone person here, and I know I'm on the West Coast. I don't have a lot of money. I see donate, but besides that, what can I do? I'm scared to death about these races that you've talked about. I'm scared to death about the Senate and about the House, and I want to do something. I just don't know what to do.
Well, first of all, you've got in Santa Rosa a very important. Neither Diane nor Barbara Boxer are up this year, right? But right. Jared Huffman who's a great young man, young congressman who took Lynn Woolsey's place in the United States Congress, right? Mm-hmm. He's up for re-election this year. I'm sure he's got a campaign headquarters in Santa Rosa, Jackie. And the way I got started in politics, I walked into a campaign headquarters and volunteered, and then I was hooked for life, right? Right. And they'll put you to work making phone calls or helping out at events. Who knows, right? But right. I think that's the best way. Number one. Number two, Jerry Brown's up for re-election this year. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't have a campaign office somewhere nearby, right?
Right.
For the North Coast there. And then otherwise, online there are ways. If you go to moveon.org, I would say is probably the best site, which would have some of the important races and ways that even online you can help out some of these candidates by either signing petitions or sending emails out, and you could help out. Like my wife Carol does this sometimes. You could actually get on the phone. You could get lists. Let's say you wanted to help out in Mary Landrieu in Louisiana or Wendy Davis in Texas, right?
Right.
You could get in touch with their campaign now via email, and they could send you a list of people in Texas that you could call from Santa Rosa and say how important this race is, and so you got to get out and vote.
Oh, wow, really? Okay.
Yeah. So there are really ways, no matter where you are, you can make a difference. And I know not all of us can write the big checks, right?
Right.
But you can put some time into it, and I encourage you to do so. Thanks, Jackie.
I will, Bill.
Good to hear from you. All right. Say to all of our friends in Santa Rosa. Rocky is in Athens, Tennessee. Hello, Rocky.
Hello. How you doing?
Hey, good morning. What's up?
Well, I was just saying that we can't sweat Ted Nugent. He's an idiot. And if he wants to talk like that, let him. We got to focus on the core issues and fight back with strategy as far as, and I'm going to jump off to another subject, but it sort of relates a little bit. I'm sort of nervous because I ain't really good with talk shows.
No, you're doing well. You're doing great. I love hearing from you. Just you and me talking on the phone here, Rocky.
Oh, okay, Mr. Press.
Bill, please.
Bill.
Okay.
Okay, it's like what's happening with Stand Your Ground down in Florida.
Yeah.
All right. People are innately scared of somebody if they don't know them. That's just a human built biological response. If you're walking down the street and or whatever, and you're in uncomfortable territory, and the Republican Party has focused on that innate
fear.
Fear, I guess it's called fear, fight or flight reaction, or whatever you want to.
Yeah.
And they've legislated it, and now it's legal to shoot somebody just because they scared you. That's terrible.
It is, and you know, in some states, Rocky, and the thing that's bad about the stand your ground, in some states they have a stand your ground kind of law, but they do say if you can, right, your first responsibility is to get the hell out of there, right? Not to pull out your gun, but to get away from the site. There's a phrase for it, I think, but basically walk away, right, or run away, or
you have a duty to flee. I mean, you're supposed to get away from it. You don't want to escalate it. Now you don't have to do that.
No, I know, in those
crazy.
stand your ground states. So you're right. I mean, that's not exactly what we're talking about right now, but it is just unbelievable. And I think the latest trial down there with this loud music trial proves again how important it is to get rid of those laws, which, by the way, were written by the ALEC, the Koch brothers legislative council. Hey, Rocky, it's good to hear from you. Back to Ted Nugent, though. You're right. I mean, look, Nugent's got the right to say whatever he wants to say, and he's an animal. Okay, there's no doubt about it. We've played some of his statements in the past. We just played one where he said if President Obama is reelected, he would either be dead or in jail. Just to give you a taste again of Ted Nugent, and I want to read the entire quote, the most recent quote of his. Well, let's start out with Peter. This is back at some concert where he's got a submachine gun, right? Not his guitar. He's got some submachine gun on the stage. At first he says, it's a little hard to listen, but listen carefully. Yeah, President Obama can suck on this.
I was in Chicago last week. I said, hey, Obama, you might want to suck on one of these, you punk. Yeah. You don't get that. Obama, he's a piece of shit. Yeah. I told him to suck on my machine gun. Let's hear it for him.
Yeah, I'm in Chicago last week, and I said, Obama, you might want to suck on one of these, you little punk. I mean, he's talking about the President of the United States. Here he's talking about Hillary Clinton. Same concert. Same gun.
I was in New York. I said, hey, Hillary, you might want to ride one of these into the sunset, you worthless bitch.
Calling her the B word. I mean, it goes on. And about the president, most recently, he said, I have obviously failed to galvanize and prod, if not shame, enough Americans to be ever vigilant not to let a Chicago, communist-raised, communist-educated, communist-nurtured, subhuman mongrel like the Acorn community organizer gangster Barack Hussein Obama to weasel his way into the top office of authority in the United States of America. All right. Now, he says crazy stuff like that. But Greg Abbott is a Republican Attorney General of Texas running for governor. Ted Nugent has supported him, and rather than condemn the stuff that Ted Nugent has said or said, we should not be talking about that, about the President of the United States, the way John McCain did at some campaign rally, Greg Abbott has embraced Ted Nugent. He says under the First Amendment he's got a right to say anything he wants. And Greg Abbott has said Ted Nugent is my kind of Republican, and I'm proud to have his support. I think this is going to be a real problem in that governor's race in Texas. It certainly should be. But again, 2014 is where we got to focus. Let's say hello to Larry down in Macon, Georgia. Hello, Larry. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for your call. What's up?
I was wondering, are any Democrats running against Darrell Issa and Dana Rohrabacher in California?
It's a good question. I don't know the answer, boy. That would be one of the ones I would target. I happen to know those districts because I was Democratic chair of California. You may know at one time. Those are pretty solid Republican districts. They'd be hard to win, but I would hate to see them go unchallenged, Larry.
Well, I was thinking about Howard Dean's 50-state strategy, and I think unless you start running Democrats and Sessions in Alabama, nobody's running against him.
Yeah, I know, and they should be, because you never know what's going to happen, and you never know where you can pick up a seat. There's the 50-state strategy is a great strategy, and it still exists. I mean, there are good Democratic Party operations in every one of the 50 states, but that doesn't mean there's a good Democratic Party operation in every race in every one of the 50 states. Maybe there should be. There's just not enough resources to go around. But I got to tell you, particularly Darrell Issa, he is such a scourge. I mean, I think you could knock off Darrell Issa. So maybe Larry, maybe I ought to go back to California and run against Darrell Issa. If I had
don't start rumors.
No, if I had a house in that district, I would seriously consider it. Yeah. But my house in California is in Northern California, not in Southern California. All right. It is time to talk to Dennis Van Roekel, president of the National Education Association. We'll do that when we come right back. Thanks for your calls, folks. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
For more than 18 months, the members of AFSCME 3299 have been working to secure a new contract with the University of California. With workplace injuries at UC skyrocketing and government fines related to safety deficiencies at UC hospitals skyrocketing, Local 3299's top priority has been safe staffing at the workplace.
We've been short of people for the last 5 years.
They're stretching us thin, which the students are suffering, the faculty suffering, and the patients are suffering.
While UC administrators have granted these standards to other UC workers, they have refused to make similar accommodations for AFSCME represented workers who perform the most physically demanding labor at UC.
It takes a whole team to take care of the patient. It's not just the RN and it's not just the doctor. The nurses were able to win a great contract, and AFSCME workers, the patient care workers and service workers, they're part of the team and they deserve that same fair contract too.
We take pride into working for the university, and we feel like the university doesn't value the work that we do.
But the second-class treatment of AFSCME workers doesn't end at safety and staffing. On wages, benefits, and other issues, UC refuses to offer AFSCME 3299 members the same respect they afford their other workers.
I have 3 jobs because what the university pays me is just not enough to make a living for my family and myself.
99% of service workers in the UC system make so little money that they're eligible for at least some form of public assistance. At the same time, the number of executives in the UC system that have crossed over into making at least $250,000 a year has more than doubled since 2008.
The University of California has long been a beacon of hope and progress for those struggling for dignity and fairness. With such a proud history, it is disturbing to see the leadership of the university treat its lowest paid workers like second-class citizens.
All workers at the university deserve equal treatment.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, 12 minutes before the top of the hour here. On a Thursday morning, February 20. Good to see you again today. And, I think Those of you who have young kids know, and those of you who have young grandchildren know, maybe the most important time of day is right around bedtime. Just before bedtime, what's the last thing you do? You snuggle up and you read. And for my grandchildren, it's always the 3 books. They've negotiated that. 3 books, and they get to pick the 3 books, and they always pick the longest ones, I always discover. But it's a very, very special time and so important. And we are leading up to the big National Reading Day, sponsored by the National Education Read Across America Day, coming up on March 3rd. Our good friend, president of the National Education Association, Dennis Van Roekel, joining us on our news line this morning. Dennis, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Bill.
So here we go. I remember you were, it was one of your vice president, I guess, was in the studio with us last year when we talked about this. It's Dr. Seuss National Reading Day, right?
Yeah, this is just amazing to me. It started 17 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And it was originally planned for a one-day event. It's now a year-long emphasis on reading and the importance of reading. Some 45 million students, parents, teachers, educators, community members, judges, policemen, mayors, members of Congress, 45 million people participate every year. And you said it well in the introduction. There's nothing more important than reading to your kids and grandkids. It's sets them off to a really great start in life.
And so what are the special events for this? So it's March the 3rd is the one great big day, right?
Right. 17 years ago, the National Education Association and Dr. Seuss Enterprises started this Read Across America. And we kicked it off on March 2nd, which was Dr. Seuss's birthday. Now this year falls on a Sunday, so it's on Monday.
Uh-huh.
But we're doing something from February 27th through the 14th of March. We're going to have a 3-week caravan tour, some 20 cities through 8 states.
Uh-huh.
We will distribute some 30,000 cat-in-the-hat stovepipe hats. We'll be giving out over $15,000 in grants to libraries. But the number one thing we want to get across is the importance of reading and how much it makes a difference in kids' lives to be read to or to read to you.
It really is sort of the door into the whole rest of their education, isn't it? Learning to read, for hearing books read to them and then learning to read themselves.
Oh, yes. And we know that kids who are read to and read often themselves do so much better in school. It's a real good indicator. And as you mentioned, it's not a task at all. There's nothing better than having that little kid curl up on your lap and ask you to read a book.
Yeah.
So I just think it's one of those special times. This year we're partnering with Renaissance Dental. And it may sound like a strange combination, but what we found is that in recent studies that students miss about 51 million hours of school a year due to oral health problems. And so what we partnered up with them to show the importance of oral health to students, keep them in school so they can learn. And we say 2 plus 2. Brush 2 times a day for 2 minutes and 20 minutes of reading.
Oh, I like that.
So 2 plus 2 equals 20 in our book, yeah.
Hey,
it's a real good emphasis about keeping kids in school and an opportunity to learn.
Now, what difference has the Internet made in terms of learning to read and reading? Because there's so many books, you know. I was just looking on my iPhone here. I found a app at Christmas time. Here it is, Me Genius. I don't know whether you know that app. Where they have children's books online, and they actually read the books aloud, and they underscore each word as they're reading the words. I mean, is that part of the program? And do you find that that's advancing, you know, the learning how to read?
Yeah, I think we're going to see more of that as time goes on. Obviously, kids they're what we call technology natives. They do. We're the immigrants, my age group. So I just can't imagine that there'll be less. But I also can't imagine the disappearance of books, because sitting with that child, they love to turn the pages.
Yeah.
You know, especially when they're little, that's a big deal. So I think it's a combination of the two, and it's a wonderful combination. But the big thing is getting them to read and really enjoy it.
So how do
Enjoy it.
people, all our listeners and our viewers, want to be part of this program, learn more about it? How can they plug in and participate? We want to get that $45 million, double that number, Dennis, this year.
Yeah, right. Well, just go to NEA.org/readacross.
Okay.
NEA.org/readacross, and you can check out what's happening in local communities around the country. You can get Seuss-tastic, I knew I couldn't say that word, resources. But with the show's top book picks and activity guides, reading rewards, just event ideas, it's full of great ideas and things you can do that are fun with your kids and grandkids.
All right, that's great. So it's NEA.org/readacross. Check it out. It's a wonderful program. And this is a way for you to be part of it no matter what age you are. Dennis Van Roekel. Thanks, Dennis. Thanks so much, and great success with the program again this year. All right. Good to talk to you, Dennis Van Roekel, president of the National Education Association. Again, it's NEA.org/readacross.
This is the Bill Press Show.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Racing down, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, in the next hour, Daniel Stone from National Geographic will be here, and we'll be checking in with The Nation magazine for all the latest. Peter Ogburn.
Yes, very interesting story. We always like to follow what's going on with the legalized marijuana stories in Colorado and Washington. Well, Colorado's legal marijuana market is exceeding tax expectations by a lot. A new budget proposal released yesterday by Governor John Hickenlooper gave the first official estimate of about how much the state expects to make from pot taxes, and they plan on spending about $99 million on substance abuse prevention, which was part of the whole deal.
Yeah.
And so they were estimated to only be spending about $70 million, so they're making that much more than they thought they were going to be making.
It is.
People are buying weed, man.
It is literally. Colorado has discovered the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. There they go.
This is the Bill Press Show.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Good morning, good morning. It's Thursday, February 20. So great to see you today, and welcome. Welcome to the Full Court Press, coming to you live on Free Speech TV and on our video stream, TawkrTV. That's a special YouTube channel, youtube.com/Tawker, TAWKR-TV. Big day here in our nation's capital. That's where you'll find us, right here on Capitol Hill. We'll tell you what's going on this morning. You tell us what it all means to you. And on this Thursday, emails have tripped up yet another Republican governor who had his heart and his eyes set on running for president in 2016. First, of course, it was Chris Christie up in New Jersey with Bridgegate. He is still trying to fight his way out of that mess. And now in Wisconsin, it is Scott Walker. With the release of 25,000 emails yesterday, he's in hot water because those emails show that his former staff, when he was county executive in Milwaukee County, was colluding with his campaign staff to try to get him elected governor of Wisconsin. That was against the law, but like Chris Christie, Scott Walker insists he knew nothing about what was going on. Oh, sure, we're supposed to believe that. In Texas, meanwhile, Republican candidate Greg Abbott, he says he's got no problem with Ted Nugent's support. He still thinks Ted Nugent is a great American, even though Nugent has called President Obama a communist-raised, communist-nurtured, subhuman mongrel. Why isn't the Secret Service knocking on that guy's door? And over in Sochi, very exciting, the U.S. men's hockey team beating the Czech Republic yesterday, trouncing them 5-1 when Russia lost 3-1 to Finland. We could be playing Canada for the gold. Oh, boy. Lots to talk about. Stay tuned here to The Bill Press Show.
This is The Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Aww. You should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your
likes
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. you could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
On your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
There's a big winner in the Powerball, and you're not looking at him. Milpitas, California. California coming through here. Good morning, everybody. What do you say? Good to see you today. We say welcome to the Bill Press Show this Thursday morning, February 20. Coming out to you live all across this great land of ours from our studio on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. With a big shout out to all of you across the land listening to your local progressive talk radio station, watching on Free Speech TV or watching on our video stream worldwide at TawkrTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV. Great to see you today. Thanks for joining us. As every day, lots to talk about. And again, our job is to tell you what's gone on this morning, and your job is to tell us what you think about it all and what it means to you, to your family, and to your community. You can do that by giving us a call at 866-55-PRESS. You know how that works. Or send us your emails, your comments on Twitter at BP Show, or on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. I'm here. So is Peter Ogburn and Elisa Murphy.
Hey.
Good morning.
Alicia Cruz there on the phones, and Cyprian Bolding, our videographer, on the video cams this morning. Yep, I checked my... I got 3 Powerball tickets this time.
Okay.
Extra insurance.
So I forget. Do you pick your numbers, or you just let them generate the
I
number?
do the quick pick.
Okay, all right.
I wouldn't know what numbers to pick.
No, that's fine.
And I would spend too much time trying to figure it out.
As if there's a science to it.
As if there is a science.
Yeah.
And I don't. Yeah, I know they always say birthdays and whatever, but I don't know. It'd be interesting to me to see whether the winners actually use Quick Pick or pick their own numbers. Some of each, I'm sure, but I'd like to know what the percentage is.
Yeah. I have heard from some people who, do their anniversary or their first kid's birthday, and that works, and then the other people just have it.
But here's all I know, and so once again, there it is. I'll never buy another damn Powerball ticket.
You and I both know that.
Not until next week.
Exactly.
But what I do know is this, that I'm from California, and I buy my lottery tickets in Washington, D.C. Dumb me. I should be buying my lottery tickets in California because that's where the winners are coming from. Here's Alex Traverso is with the Powerball operation, okay? And so he's pointing out California has not been part of Powerball for very long, but now they're dominating.
California just joined Powerball this past April, and we had in October a $213 million winner in Fresno, California for Powerball, and then actually in December we had a $324 million Mega Millions winner in San Jose.
Yeah, and yesterday's winner, we don't know the name yet, from Milpitas, California. What was it, over 400?
425.
425
Well, I've got.
Yeah, there you go. One winner, by the way. Not sharing it with anybody. She probably hasn't even told her husband yet.
If she's smart, she hasn't.
Oh, that'd be funny.
You hear that joke about the woman who won the lottery? She came home and she yelled at her husband, "I won the lottery! I won the lottery! Pack a bag!" He goes, "Oh, should I pack for the mountains or for the beach?" She goes, "I don't care what you pack for. Just get out of my house."
Yeah. So it would be. All right, so lots coming up here. We're going to start this hour with Zoe Carpenter from The Nation, bring us up to date on things that they're working on. Daniel Stone will be here a little bit later in the hour from National Geographic to test your scientific knowledge. And then in the next hour, reporters from Huffington Post and Citizens, Public Citizen. But first,
This
what do you got, Peter?
is the Full Court Press.
In Sarasota, Florida, the 16th Congressional District, Congressman Vern Buchanan has a new challenger. His name is Joe Newman. He is a Democrat.
Yeah.
He is 101 years old.
Get out.
Running for Congress.
Go for it.
Joe Newman says he has learned a lot from life. He even cites that he's made it through some challenges such as the Great Depression when he was 16 years old. He's seen a lot. He has some
We need that experience in Washington. Yeah.
So there you go. Vote
right.
for Joe Newman. Out with the old and in with the extremely old, I guess. Go, Joe, go.
Go, Joe.
Yesterday, Gap Incorporated announced that they are raising its hourly minimum wage to $10 an hour. They employ about 65,000 people in the United States. They also own Banana Republic, Old Navy, Piperline, Athleta, and Intermix. But yeah, they said that they're not going to wait for any legislation to go through. They are making it official. Their minimum wage, hourly minimum wage, $10 an hour.
Good for them. And this is what President Obama has encouraged corporations to do. You don't have to wait for Congress. You can do it just like he did by executive order.
There you go.
For federal contractors.
And let's say hello to Alberto Rodriguez of San Antonio, Texas. He is a motorcycle enthusiast, and he took video of himself.
Is he 101 too?
Right, he is not 101 years old. He went on a joyride on his motorcycle, weaving in and out of traffic, going as fast as 100 miles per hour. He took a video of it, and he put it on his Facebook page saying, "Catch me if you can."
They caught him? Did they catch
guess
him?
what?
Good.
They did. The police arrested Rodriguez. San Antonio police caught up with him. He stands... it turns out he already had outstanding felony warrants and a misdemeanor assault warrant and stands to face even more charges in connection with stolen vehicles. So there you go.
You know,
if you're going to break the law, don't film it and put it on Facebook.
Yeah. For some reason, it just what flashed in my mind. It reminds me of Gary Hart. When people asked him if he was having an affair, he said, "Just follow me around." Well, they did.
Yes. Monkey business.
And they caught him. Right. This guy, man, not too smart. Indeed, President Obama this week going up to Upper Marlboro, Maryland, rather, and signing an executive order to increase fuel efficiency on big trucks, those great big 18-wheelers. Just, the White House said, one more action of a series of actions the president is going to take to do something about climate change, since the Congress will not. Zoe Carpenter covers these issues, among others, for The Nation magazine, joining us on our news line at the top of the hour here. Zoe, good morning. Good to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
So this whole issue of climate change, what is going on, and can we expect any real, concerted action on the part of the Congress or the White House, or where are we heading?
Well, at this point, I don't think we can expect much out of Congress, except for maybe some lively debate. Some of the Democrats are trying to get the topic back on, on the radar, on the media radar, and to really challenge climate deniers. And so that's what's happening in Congress right now. But, with the House in control of the Republicans, I don't think we can expect any legislation. In the White House, the president is trying to use his executive authority to do what he can. Most of that is happening through the EPA with its power under the Clean Air Act. So that's where we get these efficiency standards for vehicles, which are very significant, as are the power plant rules that the EPA is drafting for new and existing power plants. And that will likely help move the country away from coal and onto renewable energy and natural gas.
So the president can do a lot of this by executive order, and EPA under its own existing authority, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, at least for now. I do know there is this one lawsuit, I think it's already been argued in the Supreme Court, where some of the Republicans are challenging the president's ability to do anything by executive order, saying he's exceeding his constitutional authority. But, of course, other presidents have used executive order, so... it's hard to believe that the Supreme Court would overrule the president there, but I don't know when they're expected to rule on that. But related to that, Zoe, I don't know whether you've seen the articles. There's a billionaire from California by the name of Tom Steyer, right? Who has he's putting together a group of big liberal progressive donors to put together $100 million just to make climate change a big issue in 2014 and 2016. That's right. This is significant. I mean, this could be like the Koch brothers of the left, right?
It's shaping up that way. I think the left is realizing that in a post-Citizens United world, they may not like the rules of the game right now, but if they want to win, they've got to play. And so I think that's what Steyer is doing. And we've seen him get involved in other races. His super PAC get involved in the Virginia gubernatorial race. That was the first time that there was a single issue ad related to climate against a governor. And we saw that Ken Cuccinelli lost, perhaps partly because of that at least. And some other races, his PAC has thrown around money as well and been successful. A sort of little watch city council race in Washington State that was going to have big decisions to make on the coal industry and coal exports. So he put some money in that race as well.
Yeah, I have to mention two of my very, very best friends, Mark and Susie Buell from Northern California, are partners with Tom Steyer in this effort, which I think is great. And to me, it's a parallel to what Michael Bloomberg was doing on gun safety, right? I mean, he actually went into some races, one California congressional race where Joe Baca, the incumbent Democrat, was not very good on the gun control issue, and Bloomberg went in there, and they were able to defeat Baca and elect another Democrat, Gloria McLeod, I forget her last name now, but who just announced she's not running for re-election, by the way. So we've seen with these special these political action committees on one issue like this can make a difference, can't they?
I think they can, although this year it's going to be tricky, especially because a lot of the Democrats who are trying to keep their seats in the Senate are in conservative states, and they're very pro-energy. A good example would be Mary Landrieu in Louisiana. So, and there were even some rumors that Tom Steyer's PAC was considering ads against her because of her support for Keystone and her other pro-fossil fuel positions. So I expect that we'll see this money be directed against climate-denying Republicans, but I think it will be more difficult to find very pro-climate champions on the Democratic side this year.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned an issue that I wanted to ask her about next because it is certainly related. If the president is really, if as he says, climate change is a top priority for him, and he really wants to be the president that takes us to a post-fossil fuel economy and energy policy, how can he possibly endorse or approve the Keystone Pipeline? And when are we going to know?
That's a great question. I expect that we'll hear sometime later this year, either close to the election. If he approves it, might give a bump to people like Mary Landrieu, or wait till after the election, the midterm election, to deny the pipeline. I think at this point it's impossible to tell which way he's leaning. There is ample room for him on both sides. We see this ramping up of the climate rhetoric. John Kerry gave a big speech this weekend where he was extremely forceful in warning about the dangers. He is taking executive action. So it's clear he understands the scale of the problem and wants to make this a priority. However, Obama has still been using his phrase, all of the above, energy strategy, and it's possible that these other executive actions and all this talk about climate is sort of background to soften the blow if he does approve the pipeline.
Yeah, I was at a dinner party last night here in the district, and that issue came up, and somebody asked for a show of hands around the table as to those who thought President Obama would approve the pipeline, and everybody raised their hand. I think environmentalists are girding themselves for the worst. But as you say, the president himself has made some very critical comments about the pipeline, but he also has left himself a lot of wiggle room, hasn't he? So he could go either way.
Right. Yeah. But I think it's important to remember that just a few years ago, this pipeline seemed like a sure bet.
Yeah.
And it's pretty amazing the way that the grassroots activism in protest of the pipeline has been able to raise the issue's prominence and really slow down the process. I don't think that we should write that movement off, and I think that we still have a long time to go before the decision is actually made.
Yeah. All right. Well, you are the nation on top of this issue and all the key environmental and energy issues like everything else. That's why I have been a subscriber for so long and read you every week. Zoe, thank you so much for your time this morning. Always good to have you with us.
It was a pleasure.
The Nation, thenation.com. You should not only read it, you should subscribe. It is, I think, our oldest progressive magazine in the country, but certainly it's my Bible, The Nation.
This is the Bill Press Show.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine, Virginia Tech,
Tucson,
Aurora,
Fort Hood, Oak Creek, Newtown,
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 Newtown.
How many more? How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
Enough.
Enough. Enough.
Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad. As a friend. As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook. Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more. If we had just done something yesterday.
It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 None of us would want to be told we can't marry the person we love. As Americans, we believe in freedom. That's what I fought for as a Marine, and that's what we believe in as Republicans. Freedom means freedom for everyone. I didn't used to understand the importance of same-sex marriage, but after learning my brother was gay, I wanted the same rights for him. He was the best man at my wedding, and I want to be the best man at his. It's only fair that Calvin should have the freedom to marry the person he loves, too.
It's time for marriage.
This is the Bill Press Show.
26 minutes after the hour. How's your science IQ? We're going to test it with Daniel Stone from the National Geographic coming up here in the next half hour of the Bill Press Show. I'm looking forward to that because I'm such a scientist myself.
I'm not.
I'm such an expert on
Put me to
climate
spelling
change
bee.
and all those.
I could do spelling bee. I could do trivia of all different kinds, but science, I'm a little worried.
We'll find out.
I'm a little worried.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing. I'm an expert on the Constitution, too, and somewhat of an expert on politics. And it drives me crazy what's happening in Texas with the obnoxious Ted Nugent raising his ugly head again. We remember what Ted Nugent said about what would happen if President Obama were reelected, right? Where he would be at this time. Remember, at least if we have that played a little earlier, find it there. But
the Nugent, where he'd be, dead or in jail, he says.
Yeah. Here we go.
Because I tell you this right now, if Barack Obama becomes the president in November again, I will either be dead or in jail by this time next year.
All right. So Barack Obama's reelected, and he's still out there loud-mouthing instead of moving out of the country or being in jail or dead. And his latest statement about President Obama, just listen to this. President of the United States, he said, I have obviously failed to galvanize and prod, if not shame enough Americans to be ever vigilant not to let a Chicago communist-raised, communist-educated, communist-nurtured, subhuman mongrel like the Acorn community organizer gangster Barack Hussein Obama to weasel his way into the top office in the land. And Greg Abbott, the Republican candidate for governor in Texas, is going around saying Ted Nugent has endorsed him. I welcome his endorsement. He's a great American. He's a patriot. No, he's not. He's scum. And he's got a right to say under the Constitution, Ted Nugent does whatever he wants to say. But Greg Abbott ought to just say, you know what? I don't like that kind of talk. I don't want that kind of talk. And I don't want his endorsement. If he had any balls, any backbone, that's what Greg Abbott would say. Wendy Davis, go
is the
Wendy
Bill
Davis.
Press Show.
So this is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing down, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
Connect with The Bill Press Show on Twitter. Follow us at BP Show and tweet using the hashtag WatchingBP. This is The Bill Press Show.
Good morning. At 33 minutes after the hour, here we are. The Bill Press Show coming to you live from our nation's capital, our studio on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., in the shadow of the Capitol Dome, as we like to say, and brought to you today by the International Association of Sheet Metal, Air, Rail, and Transportation Workers. You put all that together, that's the SMART Union under President Joseph Nigro, the good men and women of the SMART Union giving a fair day's work for a fair day's pay. You bet, and find out more about their good work at smart-union.org. So we told you we're going to test your scientific knowledge and IQ this half hour with our good friend from National Geographic reporter Daniel Stone. Dan, good morning.
Good morning,
to see
sir.
you. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
We haven't seen you since you were in to report on your round-the-world trip, right?
A few months ago, yes. I made it back.
So, different shows have their experts on different issues. There's Bill Nye, the science guy, right?
Yeah.
We have Dr. Dan, the science man.
Honorary, yeah.
Here he is. All right, let's see. So, all right, the first question I have for you before we get to anything else is, you work for National Geographic, right?
Yes, sir.
National Geographic has a TV channel, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We actually have two channels.
Two channels.
Yes.
Okay.
National Geographic and Nat Geo Wild. But continue.
Thank you. All right. Now, I didn't know that. And I mean, National Geographic has such a great reputation for so many years. Why the hell did you have the Snake Handler program, the reality show with that pastor who just died because it was bitten by a snake down in Florida?
What was it called? Serpent Salvation or something weird like that.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
You gave this phony preacher a whole TV show.
The fact that you know how
I
media
blame
works.
you.
I take personal responsibility. The fact that we're talking about it now, you know how media works. I mean, this is how it's designed. So it's hard for nature programming to make it on morning radio, and that show did it. So
well, what I want to know now that you have the star of the show, right, has proven that there is a God after all, because the snake won. Are you going to continue the show with a different phony pastor?
That I don't know. A lot of the shows on the channel are produced by outside contracting companies who pitch ideas. So you or any of your listeners, if they have good ideas for the Nat Geo channel, can pitch their ideas to the society. I don't know what they're going to do with that show, but the fact that it's been successful, it's gotten a lot of buzz, is probably good news for keeping it around.
All right. Well, Peter, let's come up with some ideas.
Yeah, seriously.
All right. Now, what's up in the world of science today?
So every 2 years, the National Science Foundation, part of the government, conducts a study, a survey, to see where Americans stand on science and technology, and how they'll feed industries like engineering. And so they ask Americans all these questions, about 10 questions, and they compare their understanding to how they fare against people in China, people in Japan, South Korea, in Europe, countries in South America. And we're squarely middle of the pack. It's not good news. It's not bad news. We're not in last place. But some of these questions, these questions are designed to test basic understanding of general concepts.
I'm nervous.
I'm so nervous.
I think you guys will do all right.
I'm nervous. We did this before.
Right.
Maybe it wasn't this test, but it was you brought in another test.
Do you remember that this was the question that stumped you last time? The most abundant gas in Earth's atmosphere: oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, or hydrogen?
I think I said carbon dioxide.
You did.
And it's wrong?
It's nitrogen.
Duh! What a nerd! You didn't know that, Bill?
You sure it wasn't helium? We learned this morning about helium.
Did you see that story about Yellowstone National Park is leaking out? Of course you saw it. Why would I even ask if you saw it?
Right. Okay. All right. Well, I'll try to remember that.
All right. This year is a bit more straightforward. And
all right. Okay. All right. Are we ready?
God.
Let's do it.
Who's playing here?
I'll play, sure.
All right. Okay.
I'll make an embarrassment of myself.
No, just playing when you know the answers. That's not,
Oh, no. I mean,
okay.
I mean, right.
Hang on. I got to get Google up. Hang on. Look. Shutting my computer.
You guys will get most of these.
All right.
Here's the first question, designed to test your understanding of geology. The center of the Earth is about 10,000 degrees, very hot. True or false?
I thought it was hotter, but I'd say yes. True.
I'm going to say false just because it seems like a setup to a trick
Just
question.
because of the odds. It is true. The center is very hot. And I will.
We stop the test right now. This is why we have volcanoes.
That is true. Yes.
Right, and this is why we have Yellowstone.
Super volcano.
Right.
About 84% of people asked that question got it right. So.
Oh, stop making me feel bad.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
I feel terrible now.
It gets harder.
Part of the 16%.
Right.
This one's a bit harder. Okay, and this is about chemistry. Electrons are smaller than atoms. True or false?
I'm gonna say true.
I am too.
That is true. Electrons, you might recall, are one of the building blocks of atoms. Electrons, protons, neutrons, together make up
atoms?
An atom. So only 53% of people got that right. So redemption, Peter.
Right, I feel pretty good about that.
We are ready for what was that? They wanted to be sure people are ready for engineering school.
Right. You guys sign you both up. Yeah.
MIT. Here I come.
I was leaning more towards clown college since there's a clown shortage.
Hey, wait a minute. Can we
Come on, Regis.
Can we throw a question out that we won't answer and we'll get our listeners to answer?
Sure.
We can do that at the break,
when we get to the break, save one.
Okay.
Right, and we'll put it, and then when we come back, we'll get some answers to it.
Okay. That's great.
Right.
Moving on. This was also a tough one. Lasers work by focusing sound waves. True or false?
False.
I also say false.
Why?
Light waves.
Light waves.
Yeah.
You're both correct.
Right.
Less than half, 47% answered that correctly.
All right.
So,
really?
Yeah.
Well, why can't I win the Powerball?
If all of the Powerball was based on science, you're 3 for 3.
I know. I've told you, I want to stop. I want to quit. This is like the guy who goes to the casino and
let it ride
and wins, and then does not smart enough to walk out the door.
Let it ride.
Okay.
All right. They're getting a bit harder.
Good.
The universe began in a huge explosion. True or false?
Well, that's debatable.
Yeah.
Is it?
No, I don't think it is. Yes, I would say yes, but
True.
some people still deny that.
That is true.
I would also say true.
Yes, the answer is true. And that was actually the toughest question. 39% of people got that right.
Do you mind? Can I have time?
Call your stockbroker. Yeah,
no, I was going to call my wife. Can I call Carol and just tell her that I'm 4 for 4? Because she is always telling me that I don't know squat about science.
Save this tape.
All right, here's a fun one. Number 5.
4 for 4.
Antibiotics kill viruses as well as bacteria. True or false?
Oh.
I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna say false.
False. Okay.
Yeah. No, I am too. Yeah, I'm going to say false.
Final answer.
Final answer, Regis.
You're both correct. It's false.
All right.
Oh, lifeline.
Antibiotics kill bacteria, but not viruses. That's why it's hard to get rid of a cold.
Yeah, that's what I was. Okay.
51% of people answered that one right.
Well, who are these dumbos who don't get them right?
Think about people in different industries. If you have technical acumen, if you if you work on an assembly line, you don't know much about the building blocks of atoms. These are not required skills. Like the president stepped in it last week or 2 weeks ago talking about art history, right?
Yeah.
Some of these questions are not suited for all industries.
I just saw that he apologized to this professor, right?
He did.
Now, what did he say about art? I know we're off the topic here a little bit, but what did he say about art?
He wrote a
history?
handwritten note, front and back. It's pretty long. That said, look, I wasn't disparaging art history at all.
Yeah.
In fact, I took great pride in art history when I was in high school. And the only point I was making was about the job market, how people who aren't suited for 4-year degrees might find more honorable careers by going to technical school. So
did he say not everybody's, or that art history is not that important? Or is that
he made, my understanding is it was talking about manufacturing jobs and saying something along the lines of like, look, if you're going to be working on an assembly line or working in a manufacturing company, that art history degree is not going to do much for you.
I got it.
And vice versa.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Of course, most people still major in whatever, right? Don't they? Like whatever. All right. Let's go. Continue here.
Keep moving.
We're halfway through. Are there 10 questions?
There are 10 questions, yes.
All right,
You're
we're
5 for 5?
halfway through, and I'm
You can
5
still
for 5,
fail.
baby.
You can still fail.
This was
for the vote of
surprising how many
confidence.
people got this correct, and I'll explain why after.
All right.
But you guys will get this. Does the Earth go around the sun, or does the sun go around the Earth?
No kidding. People, they're still debating that?
74%.
Galileo, hello.
I know. 74% of people got that wrong. Certainly we know that the...
Wait, 74?
Sorry, 74 people got it right. So 26 people got it wrong.
Of the people that took it got it wrong. Wow.
Yeah. Whoa.
It's like, is there a question here about whether or not the moon is made of Swiss cheese?
Yeah.
Because I could see a quarter of the people getting that wrong, too.
Huh. Okay.
And for those curious,
All
the Earth goes around the sun. We
Yeah.
should just state for the
I hope
record.
that everybody watching and listening to this show knew that.
I know that. Okay. Is there a flat Earth question here?
No.
All right. Are we going to take a break? So
right.
let's pick. There are 4 left. Pick one of the ones that you think will be challenging.
6 for 6.
Let's go for this.
6 for 6, babe.
You can still fail.
Number 7. All radioactivity is man-made. True or false? We'll leave that to the listeners.
All radioactivity is man-made. 866-55-PRESS. We'll even come up with some little prize that we can send you if you get it.
Sure.
If you get it right. 866-55-77-377. Daniel Stone here from National Geographic. NationalGeographic.com.
This is the Bill Press Show.
For more than 18 months, the members of AFSCME 3299 have been working to secure a new contract with the University of California. With workplace injuries at UC skyrocketing and government fines related to safety deficiencies at UC hospitals skyrocketing, Local 3299's top priority has been safe staffing at the workplace.
We've been short of people for the last 5 years. They're stretching us thin, which the students are suffering, the faculty suffering, and the patients are suffering.
While UC administrators have granted these standards to other UC workers, they have refused to make similar accommodations for AFSCME represented workers who perform the most physically demanding labor at UC.
It takes a whole team to take care of the patient. It's not just the RN and it's not just the doctor. The nurses were able to win a great contract, and AFSCME workers, the patient care workers and service workers, they're part of the team and they deserve that same fair contract too.
We take pride into working for the university, and we feel like the university doesn't value the work that we do.
But the second-class treatment of AFSCME workers doesn't end at safety and staffing. On wages, benefits, and other issues, UC refuses to offer AFSCME 3299 members the same respect they afford their other workers.
I have 3 jobs because what the university pays me is just not enough to make a living for my family and myself.
99% of service workers in the UC system make so little money that they're eligible for at least some form of public assistance. At the same time, the number of executives in the UC system that have crossed over into making at least $250,000 a year has more than doubled since 2008.
The University of California has long been a beacon of hope and progress for those struggling for dignity and fairness. With such a proud history, it is disturbing to see the leadership of the university treat its lowest paid workers like second-class citizens.
All workers at the university deserve equal treatment.
radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
All right, here we go. At 12 minutes before the hour, you are looking at three of the smartest scientists on the planet right here on the Bill Press Show this morning. In the next hour, we're going to talk minimum wage with David Jamieson from Huffington Post. And then the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, so proposed, with the director of Public Citizens Global Trade Watch, Laurie Wallach. Dan Stone is here from National Geographic magazine, bringing in the latest scientific survey by the National Science Foundation. Now, what is the purpose of this survey again?
This is a survey that's
part of it out there, right?
Yeah, a much larger study that the NSF prepares for Congress and the president every 2 years, just to see the public's general understanding of scientific concepts and how we compare internationally because of how it might influence certain technical industries that people would go into.
Here's what's scary to me about this whole study, right, is we've done 7 so far, right? If I got 7 out of 7 right, baby, we're in trouble in terms of level of scientific knowledge.
These are
because I don't know squat about science.
Right.
I must tell you.
Well, these are general concepts. Next week, I'm going to come in and we're going to balance some chemical equations. So prepare for that.
Yeah, okay.
You have a week to cram.
Who's filling in next week?
Better not be me. Better not be me.
I think I'm going to stay in Chicago.
This would be smart.
Right. All right. Well, we asked the question. Let's hear the question again before the break. Here it is.
All radioactivity is man-made. True or false?
All right. I know my answer, but I'm going to hold it until we talk to Barry in Tell City, Indiana. Hello, Barry.
Hey, how you doing, Bill?
All right. Very good. Now, first of all, are you a science teacher?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
Are you an art history major?
No, I'm not an art history major either.
All right. Okay, Barry, go for it.
It's false.
It's false.
Let me, first of all, that you're saying that not all radioactivity is man-made. I agree with you, Barry.
I agree. It is false. The correct answer is false.
You are all correct.
All right.
It is false. And you join 72% of Americans who got that correct.
Is that right?
All right.
Yeah.
I would have figured that would have been a tougher question for people.
Is that number 7?
That's number 7.
Okay, 72%. Wow. I'll tell you what. Hey, Barry, a good man, smart man. So hang on there. We're going to get your address and everything.
His address.
And we're going to send you first a copy of my latest book, The Obama Hate Machine. I'll sign it right after the show to you. And we're also going to send you some stuff from National Geographic. Dan
I'll see what I could find in the attic over there.
Maybe there's some leftover snakes from that TV show. They're not using them these days.
Yeah. If when you get the box, if it rattles, don't open. Don't open it. All right, Barry. So hang on. Alicia will get your. Is she right there?
Yeah, she is.
That's your name and address. Thanks for your call. All right, we'll throw another question out to you. So hang on there if you're on the line. But let's move on.
One point about radiation, I'll just say real quick. Radiation. The reason you all got it right, many everyday objects have radioactivity. The most famous might be
the sun.
The sun has a lot of it.
That was the one that I was thinking about. This is when you were talking about radiation.
I was going for the banana. The banana has an element of radioactivity.
Really?
Yes, a very small amount.
You did notice I had a banana this morning for breakfast.
You do have a glow about you, Bill.
Without getting too technical, the banana has what are called radionuclides that essentially have very trace amounts of radiation. Effectively, you'd have to eat about 800 bananas in a day to equal the exposure that you would have gotten at 3 Mile Island if you were standing.
How many?
800 bananas.
Challenge accepted.
I'm going to cut back on my banana intake
really, man.
in the morning. Okay, moving right along, Doctor.
All right.
Dr. Dan.
Here we go. Number 8. It is the father's gene that decides whether a baby is a boy or a girl. True or false? A father's gene that determines the gender of a baby.
I say false.
I'm going to say
Can't
false.
be just the father.
I'm going to say false.
Do we want to get someone on the line too, or
not on this one?
Okay. You are both incorrect.
Oh, damn.
I knew that one.
Did you?
Yeah, it's always like, you always hear that. It's true.
It's true.
I just figure the woman does all the work with the pregnancy.
I figured it had to be a little mix of both. Okay.
Genes are a mix of both, but the gender is influenced.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Continents have been moving for millions of years and will continue to move for millions more years. True or false?
All right, we're going to get okay, you heard the question. Continents moving for millions of years, continuing to move for millions of years. Rose in Ligonier, Indiana. Hey, Rose.
Very true.
That is true. Well done, Rose.
Nice.
I was going to say true. So far, I can't believe they didn't know that the man determines the sex, so they can't complain when they don't get the boy.
I know.
Oh, damn it, Rose. Come on. Stop rubbing
You're rubbing it in, Rose.
Yeah, she's got 9 out of 9. I've got 8 out of 9. So, all right. Okay, Rose, you're a winner. You hang on, too, and find out. We'll get your name and address, and we're going to send you some swag, too, plus a signed book. And our last one.
Last one. Human beings developed from earlier mammal species. True or false?
False. Not entirely, at any rate. That's what
I'm
going to
say true.
It's not a technical question. It is true. Evolution.
Yeah, I mean, what are you talking about here? It's evolution, Bill.
The fish crawled up
and said, "Hey, how you doing?"
And then got legs, and then evolved.
I bet Rose got that one right, too.
I'm sure she did.
I'm not sure.
You got 8 out of 10.
I'm going to check.
Petition the National Science Foundation.
I am indeed. Daniel Stone, great to see you.
Thank you,
Good
Bill.
stuff. NationalGeographic.com will be back and tell you what the president is up to today. Yeah, I bet you he couldn't get those questions right. He couldn't get out of 8 out of 10.
This is the Bill Press Show.
In the early 20th century, the war to end all wars didn't end war at all. It stoked the fires of change. A traumatized world was ripe for change. The world was ready for modernism. Modernists wanted to forget history, or at least reinterpret it. More than just a style, modernism applied to virtually all forms of creative expression. Innovative artists like Picasso, Escher, Dali, they all started looking at their world differently. Other artists tried painting light itself. These were the Impressionists. Surrealists went a bit further. We had entered the age of the isms. Cubism, symbolism, futurism, constructivism. All these new modern ways of looking at the world blew people away. When it came to architecture, modernists were intrigued by emerging technology. Concrete, glass and steel featured heavily in their buildings. Modernists believed that they could design a better society. Ornamental indulgence was considered a frivolous waste of effort. They thought function should always dictate form, and that mankind's intelligence, creativity and capability for radical thinking should be celebrated. Take the Russian inventor Georgy Krutikov. He suggested an idea for a city held aloft by electrical currents. This at a time when there was barely enough wattage to keep the lights on. Not everything they designed was a resounding success. But you could argue modernism was the single most influential movement of the 20th century. From house music to housewares, tables and chairs to graphic design, all have been created by the aesthetics and ideas of modernism.
Hey, if you thought these first 2 hours of the Bill Press Show this morning were really good, wait till you see hour number 3. Yes, indeed, you're going to miss it on Free Speech TV. So switch over to our video stream, TawkrTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV. We'll be talking with Laurie Wallach from Public Citizen about the TPP, the new trade deal, and Dave Jamieson from the Huffington Post will be here to tell us what is the real story about raising the minimum wage. Stay tuned. Hour number 3 coming up. President Obama has one thing on his schedule today. He'll be speaking with the Democratic Governors Association this evening. Otherwise, meetings with staff behind closed doors all day in the White House. And our regular briefing today with Deputy Press Secretary Josh Earnest at 1 o'clock. Top off the next hour with David Jamieson from Huffington Post about the minimum wage. How good is it?
This is the Bill Press Show. broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
Have you heard there's a great big winner to the Powerball from California? No, it's not me. Whoever it is, we don't know yet, from Milpitas, California, and I blew another $6 on the Powerball. But yeah, it's fun to have a dream for a day. Good morning, everybody. Great to see you. It is Thursday, February 20. Here we go. Hour number 3 of our big town hall, daily town hall, this Thursday, February 20, to take a look at the news of the day here in our nation's capital. That's where we're coming from, around the country and around the globe. Bring it all to you, and then open up the phones and let you participate, let you join the conversation at any time. By phone at 866-55-PRESS, on Twitter at BP Show, and on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. One of the big news stories of the week certainly is the Congressional Budget Office report on what would happen if we raise the minimum wage, as President Obama wants to do, from $7.25 to $10.10 an hour. And the CBO basically saying there would be mixed results. David Jamieson, a good friend of the program, covers labor issues for Huffington Post, back in studio with us this morning to talk about that and other labor-related issues. Hello, David.
Hey, Bill. Good to be here.
Nice to see you again. Thank you for coming in and joining Peter Ogburn and Elisa Murphy.
Hey.
Good morning.
With Alicia Cruz on the phones, and Cyprian Bolding, our video engineer, keeping us looking good on that video stream. TawkrTV, youtube.com/Tawker, TAWKRTV, worldwide. I'm sorry you got here too late for the science quiz. We were
maybe next time.
I'm a little embarrassed. I was doing really good.
You did 8 out of 10.
I got 8 out of 10. I wanted 9 out of 10. I just didn't. I blew that last one.
I could have showed you why I'm not a science reporter.
What is Peter? You had
8 out of 10.
You had 8 out of 10 too, right?
I'm okay with that. I started out a little rocky.
Your kids will be proud of you.
Yeah, I could go home and show my face.
So Oscars are coming up, and there's still a lot of buzz, a lot of ads out there for the best movies and the best actress, best supporting actress. Nominated for best supporting actress, one person I love. Did you see Nebraska?
I did not.
Oh,
it's on my list.
It's so good. Go see it. And,
I like Alexander Payne stuff. So
yeah, and June Squibb is fabulous. In that role, she is so funny. So she was on with Jimmy Kimmel last night, and saying that, like any good actress should, she's proud to be nominated, proud to be among these other fine women nominated for that role, and to her, it doesn't matter who wins. Oh yeah, listen to this.
I am so thrilled to be among the nominees for Best Actress in a Supporting Role. Jennifer Lawrence, Sally Hawkins, Lupita Nyong'o, and Julia Roberts are all so brilliant and talented. I wouldn't be angry if you voted for any one of them. Disappointed, yes, but not angry. Why get angry? I'm 84 years old. Who knows how many more movies I have left in me? But don't worry about me. Honey, I'll be fine. You know what? You should pick one of them because they're so young and pretty. Young, pretty people. So what if this is my one last shot at happiness? I'll be just fine. Probably.
She is so good, and she is so funny, and so sharp-tongued and foul-mouthed in that movie. It's really, really, really great fun.
I still haven't seen it.
All right. So David Jamieson here for the first half hour, and then Lori Wallach from Public Citizen will join us, and we'll get right into this CBO report. But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
Just a couple of other stories making news today. House Speaker John Boehner has bought a luxury condominium in the exclusive area of Marco Island, Florida. Breitbart News made the made the news yesterday. They reported the story first. It's an $835,000 condo located in a 14-story tower known as the Tampico. So who knows what could be next for Boehner, but for now he's using it as a vacation spot.
I'm sure there's a golf course nearby.
And a bar.
I was just there last week.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Very nice place.
You got a place there?
A lot of GOP luminaries there. Not shocked to hear this. Hannity's a local, too, down there. Apparently.
At Marco Island?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, there you go.
Okay. Is that near Rush's place? Do you know? Rush Limbaugh's place?
I don't know. It's just south of Naples.
Oh, yeah. So it's on the...
it's on the West Coast.
Yeah, no.
Beautiful area.
Rush is on the Atlantic coast.
Okay. Wilmington, North Carolina. They have an apartment complex there known as it's called the Reserve at Forest Hills.
Excuse me, what were you doing there?
He was condo shopping.
It's my second life.
Oh, all right. Okay.
You don't need to know what I do in Marco Island.
The Reserve at Forest Hills is this apartment complex in Wilmington, North Carolina. There are about 100 dog owners that live there, and they're having a problem with people not picking up after their pets.
Oh, yes.
So here's what they're doing. They are swabbing all of the dogs for DNA, and then if they find droppings that have not been picked up, they're going to test it for DNA, and then they'll find the owner. So they're actually doing DNA testing on the dogs at this apartment complex if you don't get picked up.
I think this is not the first time.
This is not the first time, but this is the latest.
Has it worked in other areas?
I have no idea.
I
have no idea. But I mean, you don't. They say if you live here and you have a dog, you have to put down a fee, and you have to submit your dog to a DNA test.
Yeah, I'm for it.
They should consider that in Capitol Hill, perhaps.
I think you're right.
And one other dog story: U.S. loser Kate Hansen posted a video on YouTube from Sochi of a wolf roaming the dorm area where the athletes are staying. It's
coyote or a wolf?
A wolf, an actual wolf roaming the halls of where the athletes are staying. She put up a video. She just said, "Epic Sochi fail. There's a wolf in my hall." And there's a giant wolf just walking around the hallway. We'll tweet out a picture in the video at BP Show if you want to check that out.
Whoa.
Someone needs to adopt it one of these days.
It's probably the mascot for one of the teams. Exactly. All right. So, Dave, there's been a lot of controversy. The CBO report on the minimum wage certainly generated a lot of controversy, a lot of buzz, right? I mean, Republicans right away said, this proves it's a job killer. We've been telling you all along, raising minimum wage is going to kill jobs. And Democrats said, this proves it's going to lift people out of poverty. We've been telling you that all along. What does it prove?
Well, first of all, this isn't really original research. It's more a synthesis of what's already out there, right? But at the same time, it's just pure cannon fodder this week. And I think it's helping Republicans more than Democrats, because of the job loss projections they had in there, employment loss projections. And Democrats are kind of on the defensive about it. And a lot of left-leaning economists are coming out questioning the way that CBO used the data. Basically, the good of the proposal, the big benefits, you're going to lift, they say, like 900,000 people out of poverty. That's great.
Right.
They say it would lead to the loss of about 500,000 jobs.
Might.
But, yeah, the big caveat is they say it could be anywhere from almost not noticeable up to 1 million. So there's a huge range there. But, of course, Boehner and his people were jumping all over this, saying this is why this is a bad idea. So even though this isn't like original research produced, people, it's being bandied about, and it's become a big talking point in this whole discussion.
Well, what is the evidentiary, what's the evidence behind this claim that I've heard for decades that if you raise the minimum wage, unemployment is going to go down? I mean, we certainly have a lot of evidence out there. State after state after state has raised the minimum wage. The federal government has raised it. Has it ever resulted in the massive loss of jobs?
So the logic, obviously, is that as you raise the wage, you're making workers more expensive, and that bosses, especially small businesses, are going to have to cut back on the amount of hours. So what we're talking about is the loss of job equivalence, right? Like I have to cut back, his 5 hours, her 4 hours. So we add them up, and that's like a job when we hit 40 hours or whatever. As you'd imagine, the analysis of this over the years is really mixed. There are some studies that have shown that this leads to lost hours and lost work for people who are trying to get into the workforce. And there's studies that show it really doesn't matter. And some of the notable recent ones showed that they looked at I think it was New Jersey and Pennsylvania, right? When New Jersey did a wage hike, like you look at what happened on the border there. Was there a huge difference in employment on each side in fast food restaurants and whatnot? Yeah. And those studies showed not really. So there's that, and this, keep in mind, this tends to unsurprisingly fall along political lines, right? More conservative economists have found evidence of more job loss, whereas more liberal economists have found that it really doesn't have an effect. And this is the same debate we have every 5 years when we talk about raising the minimum wage. But when you think about it, usually these business lobbies have predicted basically the end of the world when we talk about raising the minimum wage. Now there may be modest effects on employment after we do this each time, but the world never does come crumbling down. We don't see massive unemployment or any of that. So.
And the other argument that I hear, two other arguments on this in terms of why it is the right thing to do, the raise the minimum wage. One is, from an economic point of view, you're putting more money in people's pockets. And it did show that 16.5 million Americans will have a fatter paycheck. So they have a fatter paycheck. And then some of those people, as you pointed out, are going to be lifted up actually above the poverty level. They've got more money in their pockets. They're going to spend it. That spending is going to mean more demand. That more demand means they got to provide more services, which means more jobs, right? So
yeah, look at...
Not to mention that the people who are getting more money are happier, probably more productive, are going to do a better job, deliver more.
Look at Walmart. One reason that they've had to revise projections down is because cuts in food stamps, right? We're talking about people who are on the lower end of the economic scale. A lot of them, these aren't all teenagers.
Spend every money they can get.
Exactly.
Every penny they can get.
So that's one reason a Walmart, would maybe consider getting on board with this. Yesterday, there was news that they were thinking about it, and then they told us at Huffington Post that they're not, that they're remaining neutral. They've supported it in the past, in part because their customer base, they know that a minimum wage hike puts more money in their pocket, and you balance that against them having to pay their workers a little more.
Right. And the other argument I hear is that if you really take the Republican argument to its extreme, then there should be no minimum wage. I mean, like, if raising it from $7.25 to $10.10 is going to kill jobs, well, then let's lower it to $4, right? And nobody's arguing that. So
I wouldn't say that.
That's true. Now, some people think
it's not even a theoretical for some people, but that's that's like a GOP primary thing, right? Yeah. Where everybody says, "I want to get rid of it," or let's make it,
the minimum wage entirely.
8 cents. Yeah.
But that logic, I mean, I think the logic follows that then any minimum wage at all, right, would have the same impact.
And what they say when you talk about raising it, what a lot of conservative opponents will say, well, if you're going to make it $10.10, why not make it $25 an hour? It's like, well, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about moving it from $7.25, which is very low, and we all know nobody can live on that. We're talking about moving it up to $10.10, which is not beyond reason.
So the last poll that I saw on this, 75% of the American people, Republicans and Democrats, say raise the minimum wage.
It polls ridiculously high.
Yeah.
People
why are Republicans
very
taking a stand on this? I saw Senator Rob Portman from Ohio, who's not crazy right-winger, on Morning Joe this morning, right, out there saying you can't raise the minimum wage. I mean, they really have.
This is not controversial outside the Beltway. It's a heated, divisive issue over at the Capitol, but it's not once you get outside of here. As you said, this easily crosses party lines. In just about all the polling, it's 2/3 are saying yes, like hike this thing
higher.
Yes,
higher.
Yes, make it higher.
All right, so they did it when George W. Bush was in the White House. It's the last time they raised the minimum wage. Republicans voted for it. Why won't they do it? Is it just because Barack Obama's president and he wants it?
Well, I think it's partly the way the House composition has changed. It's moved further and further to the right. I think more moderate Republicans, certainly 10 years ago, were a lot more open to this, and it's traditionally been a very reasonable thing. Everybody accepts the fact that since the mid-'30s we've had a minimum wage, right? This came out of the Great Depression. There was a lot of labor strife surrounding this, getting this established, along with other basic worker protections. It's been for granted that it's there, that periodically we've got to raise it because the cost of living just keeps climbing. Right. So let's be reasonable. But now suddenly it's this very divisive issue, and Republicans are, many of them are clearly aligned with the trade groups that don't want to see this thing moved. We're talking about retailers and particularly the restaurant lobby, right. National Restaurant Industry, Restaurant Association. They want, especially the tip minimum wage, that's still $2.13 in a lot of places. Which,
can you imagine?
It's crazy to think about that a restaurant chain only has to pay a server $2.13 an hour, and that they're going to rely entirely on tips. Yeah. So that is one thing that is a real sticking point here. The restaurant lobby wants that pulled out of there.
Quickly, before we take a break, a quick comment from Joey out in Chicago. Hey, Joey, what do you think?
Hey, you know what? When did the Republicans ever care about minimum wage workers? And now they're all up in arms because minimum wage workers might lose their jobs. They ain't cared about minimum wage workers ever. So I would take that with a grain of salt from what the Republicans say. They never cared about us. They never will.
You got it. All right, Joey. Look forward to seeing you Saturday night in Chicago.
You going to be there?
Oh, Joey's gone. All right. He better be there.
He better be there.
Better be there Saturday night, man. I'll tell you. You'll give him help. David Jamieson here from Huffington Post Labor. Your comments on the minimum wage when we come back. Get David's take on the big election down at the VW plant in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
This is the Bill Press Show. radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Here we go. In the next half hour, we're going to be talking TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership, with Laurie Wallach from Public Citizen, David Jamieson here from Huffington Post. Dave, just about a minute left. A big setback for the UAW and for labor in general this week down in Chattanooga?
Yeah, a huge loss for the UAW. The reason it's so big, I think, is because they lost an election with a neutral employer. VW was almost encouraging of the union coming in. UAW still couldn't pull it out. But you had, almost unprecedented outside meddling going on. You had a lot of politicians weighing in on this. Some people might say pressuring workers to vote against the union. Bob Corker said that they would get a production line for this new SUV if they voted against the union. People were very upset about it. The story's not really over. There are things the labor board could do. They could feasibly set aside the election because of what was going on. I don't think they're likely to do that. I think this election's probably over. UAW come back in a year, couple years, try it again, take another swing at it. And there are other places they're looking in the South.
Thank you for coming in, David Jamieson. He's on at HuffingtonPost.com.
radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
33 minutes after the hour, it is The Bill Press Show this Thursday morning, February 20. We are coming to you live from our nation's capital, brought to you today by the United Steelworkers. And they're colorful and articulate and great international president, Leo Gerard. He's down there in Houston right now with the executive committee of the AFL-CIO. The United Steelworkers, North America's largest industrial union, representing over 1.2 million active and retired members. And you can find out more about their good work at usw.org, their website. President Obama, a quick trip down to Mexico yesterday. He spent 8 hours in Mexico. The flight down and back was 9 hours long. And he was down there talking trade. Good news for the United States? Maybe not. Laurie Wallach is the Global Trade Watch Director for Public Citizen, in studio with us again this morning. Laurie, welcome back.
Good morning.
So what's the president up to down there? What's he trying to sell with the president of Mexico and Prime Minister Harper?
Well, they were trying to do two things. They were trying to talk about how great our current trade system is, at the same time that they were also talking about the need to update it. And what they were trying to cook up while sort of saying opposite things simultaneously was a thing called the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
The TPP.
The TPP.
Right.
It's a 12-country pact. It's literally NAFTA on steroids because it's the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. But then add a NAFTA-style deal, but with Vietnam, 28 cents an hour wages. Malaysia, Brunei, other countries in Latin America and in Asia. And the agreement
Vietnam,
literally
28
cents an hour. This makes Mexico's $6, $10, $14 a day wages look rich. So that agreement, TPP, literally has everything NAFTA had, so the investment rules that literally incentivize job offshoring by getting rid of most of the risks that would normally make a company think twice before leaving. You know, the thing that got us 1 million net jobs lost from NAFTA. So in TPP, but NAFTA with Vietnam, plus all kinds of other outrageous stuff that has nothing to do with trade. Sort of like the Trojan horse delivery mechanism.
Yeah, right.
For stuff that would never make it in the sunshine of Congress. So, extensions for medicine patents for Big Pharma to jack up our medicine prices, or limits on internet freedom, or these corporate tribunals where decisions on the environment or health can be challenged by foreign corporations outside of our courts, with the foreign tribunals able to make us pay taxpayer dollars to them for having to follow our laws. I'm not making this stuff up.
This is all in the proposed TPP. And the president, just to final point on that, is he not only wants this deal, but he wants Congress to give him fast-track authority, it's called, right? So that he can make the deal on his own without having to first subject it to Congress, correct?
Correct. So first of all, on TPP, because the things I've been saying...
Blank check, right?
The things I've been saying about...
Why give any president a blank check?
The things I've been saying about TPP probably sound so scary. People have now spilled their coffee, and they probably wonder if I haven't had mine yet, and that's the issue. So if you really want to see some of the text, because it's all been negotiated secretly, but it's leaked, go to our website, tradewatch.org, and we actually have sort of guided tours through the leaked text. So you can, as a civilian, basically make it clear, I'm not making this stuff up. We actually would, for instance, have to import food that doesn't meet our standards. There'd be a damn ban on Buy American and Buy Local procurement.
A ban on Buy...
Yes, sir. So this stuff, this is the stuff we know. And it's so secret, we don't know the half of it, because there are 29 chapters. 5 of them have to do with trade. The rest, all the sneaky backdoor imposition of corporate agenda. So, fast track. Because, you know, this isn't just like, the TPP is not just sort of like a skunk at the picnic, it's a picnic of skunks. So with all of these issues, enough for everyone to hate something, Democrats and Republicans alike. Yeah. So you got a lot of Republicans who have their hair on fire about this. How the hell did you get that through Congress? Fast track.
Fast track.
So
right.
fast track is a procedure Richard Nixon originally cooked up You can think about
already
it.
Against it.
Well, the blank check is a good analogy. I myself, given its Olympics, think of it as a legislative luge run. The way that it works is the Constitution, coming out of the Boston Tea Party, the founders gave Congress exclusive authority over trade. They did not want one executive just grabbing it and going off blank check and doing whatever. So historically, the Congress and the executive branch have had to coordinate. Typically, Congress called the shots. It's their authority. Shocking thing, Nixon tried to grab that authority.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. And fast track was one of his ultimate wins in that sense because it lets a president pick the countries we'll negotiate with by himself. So Vietnam, why are we having a trade agreement with Vietnam? The people there are too poor to buy our stuff. It's for offshoring. It lets the president negotiate the agreement and sign it before Congress votes with a guarantee. The president can write legislation to change any U.S. law they think appropriate to implement the agreement. It doesn't go to congressional committees, and then it gets a yes or no guaranteed vote. House and Senate, 90 days, no amendments, 20 hours of debate.
So up or down, right?
Right through the Congress.
Right.
So
but isn't that a gross violation of the Constitution?
Well,
I mean, that's why we have the separation of powers in the wisdom of our founding fathers.
As a recovering attorney, I have learned that the problem is Congress is able to delegate its authority, basically as long as it reserves the right to take it back officially. So the default of a trade agreement that's signed under that mechanism is it zooms through. Yeah. Congress has, if you have a majority to stop the agreement, you have a majority to take it off of that lunatic rule, and that makes it constitutional.
Well, just like they have delegated their war making authority, if you will, the declaration of war authority to the president. Exactly. They could take it back, but they choose not to because they'd rather have the president get blamed for the war than Congress. But in this case, you would think that, Congress would not want to cede its authority over a trade deal. Are they likely to give Obama this power?
Well, here's the really good news.
Harry Reid has said no, right?
The really good news is at this point, there are a bunch of Republicans who either are strict constitutionalists, they're free traders, but they can't bear this. They're the ones who can't bear Obama, so the thought of giving him more power, they can't bear that. And then you got the Democrats who don't like the trade policy. So between the Democrats who are not keen on NAFTA on steroids with Vietnam, and the Republicans who are not keen on Obama, at the moment, because this is a fight in the House, there is a majority that is not going to push forward this fast track. But this kind of agreement and fast track brings together the entire corporate lobby. Big Pharma gets medicine patents to jack up prices. Big Oil gets new guaranteed rights to natural resources. Big Tobacco, the manufacturing offshores, the agribusiness monopolists. It's like the Christmas tree fantasy joy package for every company. So they're up there in legions trying to get the votes.
Right. For the trade deal, but first
fast track. Because they see it as the only way they're getting it. When you've got an agreement that is that but ugly, it is not getting through Congress, but for putting Congress in handcuffs, in a blindfold, and in the legislative
How long have we had NAFTA now?
20 years.
20 years. Haven't we learned some lessons from NAFTA?
This, to me, is the thing that is crazy making.
I remember when they were selling NAFTA. This was, everybody's dream because we're going to have millions of new jobs here. It's going to lift the Mexican economy, and there's going to be, life. We're all going to live happily ever after, right? Hasn't really worked out that way, has it?
That's an understatement.
Yeah, right.
I was going to say something impolite, but that would cause a probably FCC violation. So
please don't. We have a dump button. We don't like to use it.
Yes. So here's the deal. 20 years of NAFTA empirically proves that the model of NAFTA, which is the principle for TPP but expanded out, has failed. And we actually did a study, NAFTA's legacy on the TPP, 500 footnotes taking you back to the original government data. At tradewatch.org, you can see what the data says has happened. But the sum of it is, not only did those great promises of gains for us happen, but almost the opposite happened. So, for instance, net loss of 1 million U.S. jobs, Or you can go to a database we've gotten through the Freedom of Information Act of all the official government-certified NAFTA casualties. 845,000 specific jobs qualified for one narrow program for retraining. Or we even have a trade deficit now, because we used to have a slight balance. Trade deficit huge, $178 billion, a growth of over 500% since NAFTA. And it's even in things like agriculture, where theoretically we were supposed to benefit. Meanwhile, we did dump a lot of corn on Mexico. So the data in this report show that actually poverty in Mexico has stayed the same level, but we've displaced almost 4 million campesinos with our corn dumping, which, you know, for instance, doubled desperate migration.
So
here.
NAFTA was such a huge success, we are gearing up to do it all over again with the TPP. James has a word from out in Chicago on the great WCPT. Hello, James.
Yeah, I don't understand why we continue to give away our market when we already had one of the highest standards of living in the world, the most lucrative economies on the face of the planet. It's the same thing with trickle down. I knew 30-plus years ago the investor class is just going to take their money overseas and invest over there, put it in a Swiss bank account or whatever. They don't have to necessarily reinvest here. And the only way, I said 30-plus years ago, the only way you can compete with a third-world nation is when you run around barefoot and you live in a grass hut. So, you know, it's just, you know, it's a valued market. If you charge these companies another 5-10%, or charge them a tariff if they take the product overseas, they'd still be knocking each other out of the way to try to get over here to sell their products here.
Laurie?
Well,
thanks, James, for the call. Good comment.
I mean, the lived experience of NAFTA has the whole country with James. So the polling is stunning. Democrats, Republicans, independents. It's the only thing everyone agrees on across the country and actually all the way up to pretty wealthy demographics.
Yeah.
NAFTA's been a flop for the country. It's bad for the country, but it's bad for my family. That's what the polling shows. And people hate fast track. But James, here's the good news. Your Senator Durbin, very powerful guy in the Senate, has said he does not want fast track. But one of the only House Democrats in the entire Congress who has said he wants fast track is Congressman Quigley in Chicago. That gentleman needs to hear everyone from Chicagoland calling his office, and it's very easy to do. You can simply dial, well, first of all, you can dial locally to his local office, but if you want to go through the Capitol switchboard, a number you should have on your fridge and a yellow sticky at all times, 202-225-3121. This is the number for active citizens. Whatever is peeving you, call 202-225-31. You do not have to know where in Chicagoland those new congressional districts are. Right. Give your zip code. They will connect you. But for this time, call Congressman Quigley and ask him what the heck is he thinking to give away his constitutional authority to get us into NAFTA with Vietnam. He's one of the only ones in Chicagoland.
I think you're the only person I've ever met other than me that know that number by heart.
I'm so happy.
I've given it on the show so many times, except I use 202-224,
the
which
other
also
side of the
works.
switchboard.
224-3121, 225-3121. You can get to any senator or any, even though they're different houses, you can connect.
Either way, and it's just you literally need your zip code. You get an operator. Yeah. It's so painless. If you haven't called Congress before, this is such a good way to be a citizen. Just give your zip code; they'll connect you.
Weigh in, James, and everybody else on this TPP, and that's the way to do it. We'll be back with Laurie Wallach from Public Citizen.
This is the Bill Press Show. seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
Here we go. We are talking Fast Track. We're talking TPP with Laurie Wallach from Public Citizen, their Global Trade Watch. She is the director. Their office is right down the street from us on Pennsylvania Avenue here, southeast in our nation's capital. Pardon me. Laurie, you got time for another call? You got energy for another call? Right. Yeah, sure. Here we go. Out in Chicago again, Tony. What do you say? Hi, Tony.
Morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, I'm just racking my brain, and I can't figure for the life of me what's in it for the president. Is this kind of political payback or something to people like Commerce Secretary Penny Pritzker, who supported him from his days of in the state legislature in Illinois all the way up to the president?
That's a very good question. I mean, he certainly doesn't need this. I can think of other higher priorities. Let's find out, Tony. Thanks for the call. Again, hope to see you Saturday night at the DuPage County dinner out there. I'll be there keynoting. What do you think, Laurie? Why is Obama so hot for this?
That's the great mystery. I mean, that this president is pushing this is equal parts disgusting and heartbreaking. Because in the
but Bill Clinton gave us NAFTA.
Yeah, but to some degree that was fairly expected.
Oh.
But here you have Obama, who is literally pushing a trade agreement that would roll back his most major accomplishments. So the TPP has a section that would undermine the use of medicine formularies for the reimbursement rates for Medicare and Medicaid to lower drug prices. There's a whole chapter on challenging the national health care systems. Big Pharma wanted it to go after New Zealand and Australia, but it boomerangs back on us. Or there's a whole chapter that limits financial regulation. So we get Dodd-Frank in place. It's not enough, but it's a damn good step. And what do? We set up a system where a foreign bank or securities firm from any of the 12 TPP countries could attack the U.S. policies on financial regulation in international tribunals and demand that they get compensated for having to follow our law, or we have to get rid of the law.
But he's got to know that. No, he's not dumb.
No, the man's very smart. I went to law school with him. He stood out as one of the smartest people in a school full of people who were not dumb.
Yeah.
However, I have my theories. I think there are some political points to be made about who he hangs out with, so what he hears. I think that he has basically gotten the bad band back together of the whole NAFTA creators.
Mm-hmm.
So all those folks who are around for Clinton who got us into NAFTA are back in higher positions. The trade representative the other day said one of the most barbaricious things I have ever heard in Washington, and that is actually a hard standard to meet, given what gets said around here every day. He said, the president said we were going to go renegotiate NAFTA. He promised as a candidate. And, that's what TPP is. We're going to update NAFTA. And your mouth just dropped open because
he actually
at a meeting, public meeting, and I said, Mike, I really don't think that's what the public had in mind, was expanding NAFTA and then sending in Vietnam and other countries for that renegotiation.
Did I hear the word barbaricious?
Yeah.
Did you make that up, or is that?
I did make that up.
That's pretty good.
That's a good word. It caught my attention.
I'm going to steal that.
All right, and that's what this TPP is. Barbaricious. Yeah, right. Tradewatch.org, because we're out of time, but that's where you got to go to find out all about this. Get your ammunition, and then call that number 202-225-3121. Laurie Wallach, great stuff. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for all the good work of Public Citizen over the years. All right, say hello to Ralph. I'll be back with a parting shot.
This is the Bill Press Show. The Parting Shot with Bill Press. This is The Bill Press Show.
Hey, remember way back when they put the pictures of missing children on milk cartons? Well, I got a good idea. I think we have to put somebody else's picture on a milk carton, and that is the Compassionate Conservative. I mean, whatever happened to them? They totally disappeared. It was Compassionate Conservatives that raised the minimum wage under George W. Bush up to $7.25 an hour. But now Republicans oppose raising it again up to $10.10 an hour, even though the CBO report that came out this week said that raising that minimum wage means that 16.5 million Americans would take home a fatter paycheck every pay period, and 1 million Americans would be lifted out of poverty. You know, in the latest Gallup poll, 76% of Americans support raising minimum wage because they know and believe that nobody who works a full-time job should live in poverty. Surely, that's something that Republicans and Democrats ought to be able to agree on. Have a great Thursday, folks.
This
Come back and see
is
us
the
again
Bill Press Show.